has come, and both are based on research. So how we can, like, as a policymaker, or if you are the person who has to suggest to public, like how many fruits you should eat in a day, so which one you will select? So the 7 fruit study, the first study, it is based on a research study. Like they have met these 65,000 people and taken the information, and that is what they have reported. But the 5 fruit study, they have not gone individually to these like people, unlike the earlier study did. But what they did was that they selected 16 high quality publications, okay, which are like assessing this kind of thing, and they have drawn the like information. They have reached the conclusion that more than 5 fruits will not make. So this is a systematic review. So obviously, a policymaker or a decision maker, when he has to compare between these two, he will rely on the second, because it is based on more number of data, like, and also it is based on a systematic way of like reaching the conclusion. So this is the advantage that when we do a systematic review in a subject or a topic and report it, it gets like a higher visibility than what we do with like 1,000 sample or 500 sample or 2,000 sample. Okay. So like as I told, systematic review, it is a type of review. Like we have to like place it somewhere between the review type of reviews that we know. So as you all know that there is one called traditional reviews, which we all do, which we have been doing since we have entered the research field. You all do for your even for your you have done for your MSc thesis. Those who are PhD students or the ongoing MSc students will be doing for their work presently. So what we do in traditional reviews, we just try to collect maximum number of papers or articles or the other things like which is reporting anything about our topic of interest, and we all like place it in appropriate sequence, like in order. We divide it into subsections. Okay, so that is the traditional review. Simple thing, like we review like either like topic wise, year wise, how the information is building up in a particular topic, and we make a story and we place the studies there. It is not that that study itself is not giving us the hints. We make the story like how what should be the sections and subsections, and we search accordingly and we place that. That is the traditional kind of review. Uh, so systematic review, there is a slight difference when we compare it with the traditional review. In systematic review, there is systematic approach in each and every step. It's like a systematic approach, and we have to report it once we are publishing it. And based on that reporting, how honest or robust the process that we have followed, it is based on that that the systematic reviews get accepted in journals. Okay. So meta-analysis, as I told, it is a part of systematic review, where in systematic review we just like we arrange and we try to gain the maximum information. In meta-analysis, we try to quantify the present it in a quantified manner. Like this is the effect. Like we give a number, or like we give a percentage or something like that. So based on the things. So vote counting is another kind of review, which may not be preferred more, at times, like because vote counting is just like if, for example, on a the effect of conservation agriculture. In total, if we have collected between 2010 and 2015, we have got 150 papers, and if you got 120 of those papers have shown like this conservation agriculture has positive effect, and 30 papers have shown negative effect. So we have counted the number, and yes, we are telling that yes, conservation agriculture is having a positive effect just based on the effect it is having, and we are not giving any other information. We are not quantifying or synthesizing information from that. We just count. Okay, that is the vote counting approach. So when we compare between all these, we know systematic review and meta-analysis is like a more standard or a more useful or robust method. But we have to face several challenges once we start synthesizing the evidence. Okay, so ideal situation I have given in the left side. when we try to collect studies, we don't see whether it is negative or positive. It is like open to both categories of studies, and we start searching studies. Research reports, publications, reviews, we search in all these kind of things. But actually what happens is that there is bias in like publications itself. Okay, so as I told, in reviews, we know like we place the studies based on our convenience. Publications, like the research papers that we that any researcher sends, and it is showing a better, like a positive effect, it is having higher chances of getting published. And also in research reports, like outcome reporting bias may be there, and it is subject to the people, the like level of the uh, awareness about the person who is reporting that, how those kind of issues will also be there. Okay, so through systematic review and in the systematic review process, we try to like uh, save our work from all these kind of bias issues. Okay, so these are the steps in the systematic review. uh, the first step, setting the question, it is not actually different from any other like normal research activity. Like it is as the setting the question is same as in any other research activity. PICO, PICO, I have mentioned. I will be coming to that in the next slide, so don't worry about that. But then in the each and every step that follows the setting the question, there is a standard systematic procedure that we are doing. Okay, so we search how to search the papers or any other reports, uh, how we screen, and then code synthesis reporting. This is all about all what I'm going to explain in this section. Some of the features that I told that uh, we have to search gray literature also. So gray literature, you know, hope you are aware of gray literature. It is the like literature which is not getting published in the standard academic journals. So thesis in of some universities can be considered as gray literature. Annual reports, all those things, those comes in gray literature. So if we search just in the uh, journal databases, we not be able to retrieve information for that. So we have to get those things also out, and we have to include that in the systematic procedure if we need to do it in a better way. Okay, we have to then decide as inclusion and exclusion criteria. Double screening is there, like screening by two people independently, that is also necessary. I'll be coming to that. Okay, before we start the actual process of systematic review, I need you to understand these two things. Theory of change. um, when we do a systematic review, when we have to start it, we have to first conceptualize what we are doing, like what is the intervention that we are going to select, and what is the outcome. So what are the channel, like here in the right side, that flow chart kind of thing, I have tried to give the farmers field school. When we are trying to see the effect of farmers field school or farmers training on the effect, like how it will be there. So training of trainers, the people who are going to teach the farmers, like first it's the process starts from there, then they conduct the farmers field school, then the capacity building of the farmers happens once they attend this, and the farmers go back to their villages, and they, when they do the they practice the things that they have learned from the farmer school, the neighbors also will get to know about that. They may also take the technology, and then as the farmers adopt, the neighboring farmers will also adopt, and we have a lot of information then and to measure the impact. So this is just a simple example of theory, how the like how is the process making changes in the effect. Okay, so this is one thing that we need to report when we are writing a paper, research paper based on systematic review, how this we should report. And the second thing that we have to report is the protocol. Protocol means like at each and every step we have to report like how we are proceeding in how we are searching the data, how we are screening the data, how we have coded it, and how we have extracted all those, like, you know, like in biological sciences, like in the laboratories, they have protocols for preparing a solution, those kind of things. So same way, so we have to report the protocol. In fact, in the some of the standard the systematic review, I can't say journals, like there is something called Campbell and Cochrane. They are organizations that promote the systematic review. And once we show our interest and they accept that, okay, you can proceed this with this topic and we'll publish once you finish the work. So we have to prepare the protocol and send them, and they will review our protocol. And if they feel it is okay, then only they will give us the permission to proceed with the systematic review. So once our protocol is accepted, it is as good as our paper getting acceptance. Okay, so these two are very important if in future anytime when you are trying to start a systematic review process. Okay, so okay, let's start. This is the first step, setting the question. As I told, it is not necessarily different from any other research question. So but there is something called as PICO, PICO, which we need to take care. P stands for population, I for intervention, C for comparison, and O for outcome. So these four things we have to be very much clear when we are proceeding to a systematic review. Okay, so we need to, yeah, I'll come to this. I will come to this thing. Before deciding the population, we have to see in the process of selecting the population, how, like what is this, what should be the scope of our study, how we should decide like whether our study should restrict to India or developing countries or Southeast Asian countries or something like that. So you may have heard this Goldilocks story. At least some of you may have heard, or most of you maybe you may have heard. So this is the story in which like this girl, she needs to, her name is Goldilocks. She need to like, she had to select between three bears, three friends. Like she had to stay with them, and she had to select, and she selected the one in between. Like one was like too extreme on one end, maybe the dark brown one, and one was like too extreme on the other end, the smaller one, middle one. So she selected the in between one, the one with the blue ribbon on her head. So she selected him. So we can also proceed with the same strategy when we decide uh, the scope of the study. So I have given in the right side just an example. It may not be true in all the cases. So do farmer field schools work? If we are posing a question like that, don't you feel it is too general? Like farmer field schools are conducted across the globe, and it will be like hell of a process to like collect all the information from all over the world. So uh, let us just try to restrict to uh, other category. Let's move to the next question. Do farmer field schools work in the Karnal district of Haryana, India? Is this a question for systematic review? No. Maybe it is too specific, and it does not have any appeal when we are reporting that to like journals like World Development or any other plus one maybe, or I don't know, some of the journal extension specific journals or statistics specific high impact journals. Like, chances of acceptance are very less. So let us try to find a question which is in between. So see the third option, farmer field schools for improving farming practices and farmer outcomes in low and middle income countries, a systematic review. I think like compared to the other two, the third one is better. So I was just trying to find a question. There will be definitely we can better word it, but compared among these three, I think like the last one is the better. Okay, so this is the way like we have to fix the scope. Once we fix the scope to the like the lower middle income countries or Southeast Asian countries or something like that. So our population is the farmers there. Okay, farmer field schools participants. And intervention, it is the farmer field schools. Okay, and we one important thing is that we have to identify all the synonyms. Like in different countries, this will be known in different names. For example, conservation agriculture, it may be same or may be different, or like some of the practices followed in the conservation agriculture that may be uh, adopted more in some countries. So we have to capture all these things and use in our search strategy. Okay, that I will again explain. So comparison, this C in the PICO, comparison is the counterfactual, like people, farmers in the same area who are not adopting the technology. Okay, outcomes, the outcome is the thing that we are going to measure. It may be in yield, revenue, income, or maybe any other thing like environmental effects, like then health of the farmer, based on depending on the our target. Okay. The next step is search strategy. So now we have decided uh, that how we have fixed the population. So next we have to like collect the information, collect the literature, okay, to do proceed. Okay, so for that we have to fix this search strategy. We have to as I told, the protocol itself, while at the development of protocol stage itself, we will be defining this. Uh, so we, as I told, at least we should be sure that we are not missing out any studies. So willfully we should not leave any study. If we are doing like that, there is no use of doing systematic review and meta-analysis, and because that then it is not systematic. We are now conveniently we are removing some studies and selecting, so that is not the case. So we should consider each and every study reported during the selected study period from the selected population, from all the sources: academic literature, like journals, then annual reports, thesis, okay, whatever big working papers, okay, from organizations. So we have to scan and each and everything. So that is why uh, this process takes time. Like sometimes it may take 6 months, sometimes it may take 1 year. So it is a process which takes time, but will pay off if we are following strictly. We are following the thing. Okay, so just be sure before proceeding, like how what is the scope, and like how, whether it is feasible for us to do. Okay. So once we have then decided the strategy, that like these are the journals, these are the things which I have to take out, like what are the databases, then we know there are several databases that from which we can extract. Web of Science is one source. I'm not sure how many of our institutes have access to Web of Science, but most of the systematic review papers that get published, they do search from Web of Science. Google Scholar, yes, the most popular one, which we can have, which most of us will be using on a daily basis. That is one. Eric, this is free. You can just search in this, but it may not be having as many research means papers as this Google Scholar or Web of Science have. But still, this is a good source. Sarah, I think our universities have access to this to search papers. AGEcon search is one where we can search economics related papers. I'm sure economics and economics means extension related. There will be some specific database for extension related. I'm not sure. So just search for that option also. And there are many other things. Okay. And as I told, for gray literature, Open Gray is one source from where you can get. Okay, Google Scholar is a good source of gray literature. You will get like many things, preprints, many of the things we'll get, conference proceedings. Okay, all these things comes as gray literature. Okay, so once we are searching from these, we have to use specific codes or search strings, words. We have to be very careful while putting the words, because in Google Scholar, whatever we are giving, we will get report results, we will get papers. I have just tried to show the difference between Google Scholar and Eric when we are searching using different search words. When we plainly search farmer field schools, see the number of hits it has come. Yeah, so in this case, like Eric is having only 117, but the difference is that in Google Scholar, the articles with the farmer word field word and school word all may have appeared, but it may not necessarily be of farmer field school. Okay, so if we want to capture that, put a quotation so that like only the papers related to farmer field school appears. So it has reduced from that like a gigantic number to something which is more manageable, 7,000. Still it is unmanageable. So we again we are interested in studies since 2011. So like that we can filter the year. If you are a user of Google Scholar, you know, and most of these databases we have the option to filter using years, locations, all those kind of things. So based on that we can filter. Then location, as I told, Africa and Asia. uh, Basically what we are doing is that we are just like giving the using the Boolean operators like a or b, a and b, a not b. We have to make use of this. And uh, learning about like preparing a standard search string itself takes time. So before proceeding to a systematic review, we should learn how to search literature. Because like in the example which I have given below, you have noted the asterisk mark, star mark. So what it means is that after school, that farmer field school, anything that follows schooling, schools, like that, whatever it follows, all those papers will come. So there are many things like how uh, many strategy, like many things like that. I have given only just two examples using the quotation mark and the asterisks, and how we have to use, like as I told, there will be synonyms. So we have to capture all the synonyms, like pest or insect, like, or we have to keep on adding all the synonyms with the or. And if we have to study the impact, then we have to uh, add the impact or effect word, okay, along with that and combination, so that we'll be getting the impact of farmer school on yield effect, something like that. Okay. So hope you are getting the idea that I'm trying to convey. And if I'm going too fast and it is like, if it is you are not able to like understand, you can unmute and just mention no issues. We can, otherwise let's move to the next thing. So we have identified the database. We have tried to we have now collected, like, one important step is that we have to note at each stage, like we are using this search string. I use this search string in Google Scholar during this, on this day, and I got this many number of papers. Okay, so that thing you have to be, you have to note. Like after 1 month, if you go back and search, you may get 1,000 more papers. So that is not the way. So we have to report the even the date on which we have collected those things. Okay, so now we have uh, got this, like maybe just 1,000 or 2,000 papers, and then we have to screen. All of these may not be relevant to us, so we have to screen. uh, the Prisma flow chart, which is given on the left, you know, like this is one thing that we will be reporting in the systematic review reports, or the when we publish in research papers. So it is the process that explains from the total number of uh, like the literature that we got in our search, and how we have selected the final number of papers. So in that example from 2002, they have, authors have finally arrived at 18 publications. So how they have removed? So individually, first they have to like screen the title. This process is done by two of the authors at means separately, not sitting together, and one does at his home, one does at office or somewhere, something like that. So finally they will compare, they will identify like whether almost it is matching, they may proceed to the next step. Okay, so they will screen the title, so duplicates they will remove. Then they will screen the abstract of all the things, like then they feel okay, no, this many number of papers are not useful for us, so they will remove the abstract. Then the papers which pass the abstract screening process, for them only we will be giving our like the most of our time, like full text reviewing. And from that we have to like carefully read and select the papers which is relevant to us, based on the design or the actual intervention or the effect, all those things. Like we have to read whether this that paper is related to the our target objective. It is exactly the same, we can get the information from that. and finally we can select the articles. Okay, so this is the example of farmer field school. I have just given how we are screening. The first paper, when we are searching this word, we are getting about 3,800 results. Okay, so this is the sequence. This is not the sequence. In fact, I'm just showing you for understanding. The first paper is sending farmers back to school, the impact of farmer field schools in Indonesia. Yes, this paper will get selected. The impact of farmer field schools in knowledge and productivity, a study of potato farmers in the Peruvian Andes. Yes, that paper will also get selected. The third paper, investing in farmers, the impact of farmers field schools in relation to IPM. Yes, that will also get selected. See the next paper, issues for agriculture extension policy in Nigeria. That has also appeared when we are searching using this search string. So either it can be screened at the title screening itself, or if you are not sure, you can just go read the abstract and then remove. And still, if you are not sure, you can always read the full paper if you have enough time and then remove. Okay, so like that, this is the process. There are some softwares or apps also that can help you to screen, like you can export all these things and like screen and organize, but nothing is automatic. I tell you, don't think that like the software will do everything for us, but it can like aid us in like saving time. Okay, this is one software which is free. There are many other softwares, some are paid. Okay, so as I told, then this is the Prisma flow chart, an example. How can we are already I have shown. This is another example which I'm trying to show based on the Indian context, like biofertilizers in India, and how many studies first we got and how we reached. Okay, so inclusion criteria is important, like what that I have told. Here to reach on 18 studies from 16,700 studies. The studies based on field trials provide data for pairwise comparison of yield effect of biofertilizer. Like we have to compare, like the same study should provide us the information on both the treated and the control. Then only we will be able to select that study. Um, Ideally, if some study is reporting missing some information, we should contact the authors and collect the information from them to the extent possible. And nothing is possible at the final stage, only we can remove a paper. Okay, so once we arrived at the final set of papers that is ready to go for a systematic review, then uh, we have to extract the data. Like we have to collect the information from which from those things, and for extraction we have to prepare a code sheet. Like it is like nothing but in a spreadsheet or like Outlook file or something. We can mention what are all the information that we want to collect from each paper. So finally, if you are getting 20 paper, 100 paper, or 1,000 paper, maybe there are systematic reviews that is including that is based on the 1,000 number of papers also. So from each of the paper, what all information we will collect. So you list it and you just note down. You read the paper, note down. Okay, number of people surveyed, you just note down. Like the treatment and control of both, you note down. Like what are the information, other information, the location, all the information from the paper we have to decide. Prepare a code sheet in advance, and from each paper we have to extract those information and put. And as I told, some information when it is not available, we should try to get it either by contacting the authors or by contacting the journal or any other source. Like how we should, the idea is that we have to try to collect maximum information. Okay, this is just the example like of code sheets, what all things we can include in a code sheet. Report, to identify a report, there will be a set of either you can give author name, the year of publication, okay, the institution where the author is working, so like that. So in these many categories, I just wanted to show that. Then systematic synthesis and reporting is the final process. Once we have got extracted the data, we are trying to process the data and present it in tabular or matrix forms. That is what we do in systematic review. This is the end of systematic review process. Okay, so just listen carefully. So we have extracted the information, and then for example, location wise, if we are doing India, we can say like agroecological category. If it is given agroecological category wise, we can arrange. So in this category, this many studies. So each study, what is the impact? Okay, so those kind of things we can show. But, so in different formats we can show, like basically we are not proceeding into any statistical analysis kind of thing in systematic review. We are just presenting the information collected to answer the like to as per the focus of our study, to answer any gap that we have identified in literature. Okay, and we can like maybe our findings may be that yes, with increasing pH, the yield in this crop is decreasing, or the effect of this fertilizer is decreasing, something like that. Okay, so we just qualitatively we process the information, but note that we have systematically arrived at this data. So that is why this, even this qualitative summarization is having a high impact, or it will be having, it will be giving valuable information, since we have systematically arrived at the data. Okay, so once we are not satisfied with the systematic analysis, it's not that we are not getting satisfied. Like we are just doing a little bit more. Like we are just proceeding to get quantify the effect or quantifying the impact. That is called as meta-analysis. Okay, I think I am overshooting time. Let me take 5-10 minutes more and before giving a break. So meta-analysis, we know that the individuals, we are we have arrived at the final data from individual studies, and we know that individual studies are having some, not drawbacks, some like lacunas. There are chances that like of type 2 error and type 1 error, like false positive and false negative, like showing impact when there is no impact, and showing no impact when there is impact. So those both kind of things will be there. So we are trying to like pool the effect of all the studies that we have selected to a single value, or like to a proportion. Okay, to decide on, like to explain or the impact, to show the effect of a particular intervention or a policy. Okay, that is what we do in meta-analysis. We simply are taking an average of the effect from different studies, but it is a weighted average. Okay, and weight is the quality of the study. Okay, it depends on the sample. Like studies with higher samples will get more weightage in our analysis, rather than studies with this, in comparison to the studies with lower sample size. So finally, it will be like the effect from different studies will be quantified to a common unit or common kind of thing, and we will be able to provide the final effect. Okay. This is the graphical representation of the effect. It is called as forest plot, the plot which we have given. This is a plot which I have made using Stata software. Today we are not dealing with Stata software. We'll be demonstrating it in the Riffman. So this is the forest plot. You know, like I just wanted you to show the different components in this forest plot. So left we are giving the study ID and each study. So the square, or the like the diamond shape that is given in the for individual studies, that is showing the individual effect. Okay, the gray color square that is surrounding it, that is giving the weightage, and the line, that horizontal line, that gives the confidence interval. Okay, so what we can see is that when you come to the down, the last diamond shape, that transparent diamond shape, the bigger one, that is giving the overall impact. So if it is based on a mean difference, like we can show that like comparison, when we compare to the counterfactual, the effect on treatment is 0.25. If it is yield, the yield can be 0.25 tons per hectare if all the information yield from individual studies, if we have collected based on yield. So we can show that in comparison to the control, the treatment uh, effect of the treatment is 0.25 tons per hectare. Okay, we can see that some of the studies the effect is more than the final effect. See there one on the rightmost column, and some of the studies which are having a more number of sample sizes, they have more weightage and their effect is almost in line with the final thing or even less. Okay, that is the idea here. Like the studies with more sample size will be getting more weightage in comparison to the studies with less sample size. Okay, I think we can break for 5 or 10 minutes. Hope till this everything is clear. I wanted to, in fact, I wanted to finish the session by now and like move to the hands-on session in the next session after this, but uh, no problem. Anyway, it is for your understanding. I have taken a little bit more time, but I will try to be more like take less time. In the next session, I will cover the remaining portion, how we proceed with the meta-analysis, and we'll try to do this in RevMan. Okay. So how are we going? Is it good? You can unmute, open your video. You can relax and ask few questions if you have any, or take a quick break. Go get a glass of water or juice or something and come. You can unmute if you have any question. You can ask. Okay. Is it making any sense? Like you are getting? Or no problem. You will be like getting. You are having this video with you. If you are listening to any lecture on this systematic review for the first time, this is just an introduction. It is an ocean and we are just on the beach. We are just trying to see, this is introduction to this thing and nothing. So it's not possible to cover systematic review with a 1 month training. So we are doing that with 1 hour. No? So
Sir,
that will be there. Okay.
Sir, you have few questions in chat box.
Okay. Chat box. Sharma, it's going like my question is that there are a number of literatures and it is difficult to find the gap. So by what approach we can find the gap? I'm not sure. Like you want to find out the gap using systematic review procedure, or for proceeding to systematic review procedure, you have to find out the gap.
So when we review the literature, so it is very difficult to find the gap. So by what approach we can get the gap between the literature?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for a clarification. You want to identify a research gap for starting a systematic review, or for your general thing you are asking for your thesis?
For general.
Yeah, general, there is no shortcut. You have to read the literature and identify. That is the only way. There is no other. So, but as I told, you can follow the idea that I have conveyed. You search in the standard, like it may be like if you are working on a specific technology for a specific state or for India, you know which journals are the standard journals which are publishing papers like that, and you are like there will not be any relevance if you are searching papers 30 years back most of the time, but at times it may have. So you can restrict to the recent kind of things, and what is the trend uh, in the topic. There is actually another interesting activity called bibliometric analysis or scientometric analysis, so that will be very helpful in identifying the uh, m- most most researched areas within a topic, like sub areas within a topic. Okay, but it is not always necessary. You can just review standard journals, and just you have to read and identify the literature. You can always organize when you are reading. It is better always to organize, and this paper is dealing with this, uh, like using this strategy to find out the effect. This paper is using this method to like uh, not not maybe for impact, but show the association between two variables, like that. So once you organize maybe 50 or 100 studies, so you will be definitely able to get like a meaningful thing. So rather than just reading a paper at time and just taking something from its abstract and putting in the review, that Singh et al has done conservation agriculture in this field and they have found this much. Rather than that, you just note down the specific information, and if you have 10 similar studies, you can always write on your own rather than just paraphrasing the findings of other people. Okay.
So the
Hope
methodology can be same. We can use the same methodology that other literatures have used, right?
same methodology for
For
reviewing.
other, which other literatures have used. We can
Definitely,
also.
definitely. No issue. There is no issue in that. Only you have to see the relevance. If, for example, just your senior, one of your senior has done the same thing, and it is very convenient for you to get the like even the codes for the analysis, everything, we should not follow. But if it is very much necessary for you to use the same a particular strategy or quantitative tool or data set, we have to do that. So there is, so that is why like when you do the literature review, you then and arrange it systematically. You can like you can justify why you are using these things. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Then next question is Kabita Mandal. In case of farmers' perception study on ecological changes or ecological resilience, what should be the proper time duration for collecting review of literature for the case of for the sake of good thesis writing? Latest year's data would be better. If so, what will be the proper strategy for review collection? I think Kavita herself has answered also. Latest year's data will be better. And uh, I would suggest that you just don't attend this training only considering your thesis in mind. Okay. So, so your that absorption things will, whatever is related to thesis, you will just open your mind. Other time you will just be gloomy. So don't do like that. So be open. Um, there is nothing like that for specifically ecological change. I'm not a specialist in that area to suggest how much time you should take to do review or from which year's review you should start. Obviously you can decide an area, means like period, duration, and journals or location to collect, get it approved by your from your guide or your advisory committee if it is there in your university. Okay, and do the process. So nothing like, so whatever you are doing, just it should be scientific and there should be justification. If someone is asking, you should not tell that it was available and I did. That is the only thing. Okay. Sujata, what is the main difference between review paper and systematic review? In both cases, we are chronologically studying the papers on specific topic and listing the findings. Yes, as I told, systematic review is a type of review. But I think if you remember the slide which I have shown, there is narrative review, systematic review, and vote count kind of, and maybe different other things will be there. In the regular review, as I told, we will be collecting information. There is nobody to check whether you have collected all the like for example, if you are interested in collecting literature on conservation and agriculture from 2015 to till date. So you just go in Google Scholar and search conservation agriculture, you'll get papers. And okay, I got 50 papers, it is enough. It will be sufficient for you to write a review paper. I'm not telling it is enough or it is good quality or bad quality. You will be having something in mind. Conservation agriculture, you can tell you want to show the history of conservation agriculture. So luckily you got 5 papers mentioning the history. So you just read the abstract, you mentioned, you completed a session. The next, you got 5 papers on the organizations which are promoting conservation agriculture. You included a section on that. So based on the story that we have made, we are trying to collect and fix the papers. That is a regular normal case of review paper that I understand. But in systematic review, as I told, there is a standard procedure. We can't deviate. Obviously we can deviate, but then at the final findings doesn't have any value. We have worked for 1 year and no journals will accept. That will be the case. So if we are not ready to work continuously on this kind of, like, unless we are not clear on this methodology, and we are committed to undertake this, we should not proceed. Okay. So systematic review is little we have to be, it will require more efforts. That is the only difference. Okay. Aishwarya, sir, is meta-analysis, bibliometric analysis, scientific analysis same? No, all are different. Meta-analysis is what we are going to learn in the next 40 minutes. So I will better explain then. Bibliometric and scientific analysis can be considered almost as same. It is like collecting from literature, in the sense like we search literature from different databases. Databases can be same like Web of Science, Scopus, or any other databases. But databases like Web of Science and Scopus provide for exporting the bibliometric details in text form or any other form, like uh, BibTeX, like different, which can be processed in different softwares. So we can, on any particular topic, we can search using those databases, export the literature in text format, then process that literature using other softwares. Ghost Viewer is one software which is free. SiteSpace is one software which is free. So while processing that bibliometric data, we'll be able to know from after 2015 on conservation agriculture. These are the number of publications every year. This year, this many publication has come. Every year, we can get to know the number of publications. What is the most researched topic within conservation agriculture? Whether yield is most researched, saving of fertilizer is most researched, emission effect is most researched. You will get a network which can be visually or uh, like on tabular form we can explain. Scientific analysis is, bibliometric analysis is more or less same. Just like we'll be giving a little bit more information, like intellectual change points, or like what, like from 1970 to 2000, this was the most researched, and this particular year there was a change from this trend to another trend. Like we are processing the bibliometric detail to a little bit more extent. Okay, I will take, I think, one more question, and then take. I also will take 2 minutes break, and we can restart the session. Okay, Muthu, how far publication bias poses challenge to meta-analysis? Yes, Muthu, publication bias is a big issue, but in meta-analysis we also provide the like how much is the bias or the kind of heterogeneity things, like which is coming finally with our impact value. Okay, so we are showing that also. If the bias is too much, then there will be not much meaning in like pooling, but so it comes with it. So I think I may be explaining some of those things in by continuing this thing. Okay. So some of the questions are there. You keep on posing the question, like we will try to answer. Okay. So give me a 2 minutes break and we can restart.